think it's funny because as kids get older, it gets so serious. Like we talk about this all the time, and I've been talking with some guys who have younger kids in the game, and it's funny that they kind of ask the same questions about that you would ask of older players. In terms of where they should play or what they should be doing to make sure that they're scouted or that they're seen or they get the most opportunity. So they're asking the same questions about their 9-year-old as the 16, 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old, whatever. So I find that interesting in how, on the one hand, you can see why that happens because you're thinking, okay, the next step is to care this much. So why don't we just care a little earlier and try to get ahead? But that kind of goes to where I want to go with talking today, because I came across an article. Our coach, he's going to coach our 2010 AAA team this year. Kyle Mackrick is his name, and I might have him on the podcast coming up to talk about just coaching philosophy stuff. But he sent me a cool article about kind of talking about the early specialization thing, and we've talked about it a lot before. But I kind of want to revisit it too because it seems to be just a particularly crazy time of year with tryouts and draft and all this stuff coming up.
Well, I'm just saying that I've had like 3 people book appointments for consultations about preparing for the summer. A summer plan, all this stuff, which is fine.
Yeah.
What to do next year and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's just time, and I think it's kind of just like that snowball effect. Like somebody starts asking a question about it, and then somebody else starts thinking about it, and then everyone starts talking about it, and then it's just this runaway thing of making sure you're maximum prepared and have the maximum optimal plan and all of this stuff. And obviously, age appropriate is a key to making sure that you're on track. And kind of the article that I'm going to read today is talking about that early specialization thing and how you get too serious too soon. And that actually doesn't line up with future success. I talked about this in that book Range that I
was trying to remember the name of it.
Yeah. It was what's the author's name again? Outliers guy. What's his name?
Malcolm Gladwell.
Yeah, Malcolm Gladwell. He's the author on that book, and it was talking about exactly this.
Isn't it someone else? Is it Epstein maybe?
Oh, is it David Epstein?
I don't know.
Now I gotta check. Range.
I think we're both wrong.
Oh no, you're right. It's David Epstein. You're right. Yeah, not Malcolm Gladwell. It's David Epstein. So he was talking about this in various domains. It wasn't just sports, but he was talking it with chess players. He was talking about it with a whole bunch of different examples of how people who, by design, start from day one trying to be the best at a certain thing, it actually doesn't equal success in that thing necessarily to the highest level. You'll get really good, or you could be one of the elite, but there's this intangible factor that you can't just manufacture with a plan, and that's where a lot of people miss. And that's why you have to just relax to a degree, because there is always going to be a component of the kid's development where they end up that is not in your control as a parent, and as the kid too. Like as the kid, you might just be limited by something that you can't control. Maybe you're not going to be tall enough. Maybe you're not going to be fast enough. Maybe you only have so many fast twitch. Maybe whatever happens, like there's things that are going to keep you that you couldn't fix. If you tried 100%, did all of the optimal things, you just are limited by something that's not in your control. And that's a fact of what can happen with a lot of kids, right? So I say that not to be discouraging, but to maybe try to put people at ease, particularly parents, especially when they're early in the game. Like just chill, man. Just let them do the thing, So anything on that before I start kind of picking at this?
Well, that's like, I'll just kind of piggyback on that is you don't know, right, when they're young. Like I was talking to my brother this morning. So it's not hockey now. So my nephew is a extremely, extremely, extremely good lacrosse player, and he's young and he's getting some offers from the highest places. And he was talking. He goes, I was ignorant with this, like with lacrosse. He goes, I was ignorant with it. He goes, my kid liked to play. He played hockey, played football, played lacrosse, and just played like he's a perfect example of a kid that found what he really likes. And he's still not sure if lacrosse is his favorite thing because he loves football so much. I know that he doesn't love hockey as much. And, anytime I'd pop into their house, there's a football, there's a baseball, there's a lacrosse stick, and we're always throwing it nonstop. And I think that just by doing that, he has so many crossover skills, right? But the big thing with him, so my brother, when he was taking him through lacrosse, he was getting like people saying, like coaches at the junior levels and stuff saying, hey, your kid's really good. He goes, is he? Like, what? So he saw like, okay, if you go to this camp, do this, this, and this. And my brother's like, it doesn't make sense. Like, because it just seems like, and he would ask me, like, what do you think about it in hockey? I said, well, it's very similar to hockey. Is like, yeah, if let's say a pro team or a junior team has camps and they kind of lay out, this is how you're going to get to the highest level. It's like maybe, but the people that go are the ones that can afford it, or I don't want to say crazy enough to do it, because that's not necessarily true, because you want to practice and stuff, but the belief in like you said, manufacturing a player, there's all kinds of different factors. So anyways, my nephew's got all these offers, and it's like, wow, I didn't know. And he doesn't really care. He does, but it's like he doesn't want to go too fast. But my brother goes like, all these things that were presented to me, he goes, and all these kids coming with the fancy camp jerseys and sticks and gloves and all this stuff, like in the lacrosse world. He goes, they're not even close. So one of the limiting factors is my nephew is tough, like tough. And when he plays, he has a ton of room. And then with all the stuff that he's done before, playing catch and running and football and all that stuff, he's got agility, and he sees games because he's played so many different games, and the sports just make sense to him. So he's in lacrosse, and he never went nuts on it. He just happens to be really good. So like those limiting factors could be, going back to that could be, as you said, you might be just never big enough, never heavy enough, not fast enough, not tall enough, not tough enough, can't handle pressure when the pressure's on. And maybe with my nephew, that might be the thing with lacrosse, is he just didn't care enough to worry about making it. Like, it wasn't a focus. He just played all these sports, and he happens to be really good at them, and he's getting offers, and he's like, yeah, okay, whatever. I like it. And he's not going to lose sleep if he doesn't. It doesn't get at a higher level.